Hi, everyone. Welcome to DevRunner. My name is Paul. I'm an endurance runner and certified running coach, and this is Subscriber Spotlight, where I have conversations with inspiring athletes to motivate you on your fitness journey. My guest today is a certified personal trainer and YouTube host hailing from Florida. She's been instructing and motivating people to get healthy for more than 12 years now, and I'm always learning something new from her videos. Her personal story is incredibly inspiring, so I'm really looking forward to this conversation with the host of Find Fitness with Sharon. Hey, Sharon, thank you for being here today.
Hey, Paul, thank you so much for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
It's absolutely my pleasure. As I learned more about you and your story, I was like, oh boy, I have to talk with Sharon. She's just going to motivate a lot of my viewers. So thank you again.
Well, thank you. And just your channel alone motivates me. I think I've been telling you. So this is great. I'm just really excited.
Oh, well, I thank you so much. We both know it takes a lot of work to put out YouTube stuff. So I appreciate that very much. Let's get right into this.
Okay.
Just to get things started, I'm hoping you can give us a short bio, who you are, where you're from, anything that you want people to know about you right from the start.
Okay, great. Well, I'm Sharon Piotrowski, and I have a YouTube channel, Find Fitness with Sharon. I've been doing it almost 2 years. I am married for 36 years, and I have 2 adult daughters. I live in Florida. I was trying to count it up today, I think 15 states. I have moved quite a bit, almost every 2 years with my husband.
Wow.
We're from New Jersey mainly. I grew up in Maryland, but I'm mainly from New Jersey, and we moved to Florida about 4 years ago. I'm coming on my 13th year as a personal trainer in July, and I need to recertify soon, which I always drag myself doing that. I really didn't come into fitness until my 40s. I didn't want anything to do with that. So that pretty much is where I'm at. And my story goes a little bit further after that. And I do have cancer, which I know we'll discuss a little bit too.
Yes, I think it's a very inspiring part of your story, and your positivity just blows my mind. So I can't
Thank you.
Talk about this entire journey.
Great.
Let's first talk about, let's go back a little ways and talk about your athletic background, whatever you think is relevant.
Okay, well, that kind of brings us back to why I didn't exercise until my 40s. I did nothing. In high school, my junior year of high school, you could get out of gym if you did pom-pom squad or cheerleader. And I ran to do that because I didn't like anything to do with athletic stuff. I mean, totally. My husband was always athletic while we were married, and he always tried to get me into it. He even bought me rollerblades once, and I told him, how dare you, please return those. So somewhere around when I was in my 40s, we were living in Arizona. My kids were elementary school, and we were standing at the bus stop, and some lady said she was going to a personal trainer. And I went, I don't know, something clicked in my head. And I think I always was relatively thinner, but I had started gaining weight and, typical mom stuff as with getting into my kids stuff, I got lazy. So I just wasn't feeling really good about myself. So I went to a personal trainer, and she was a Miss Olympia, actually, a German Miss Olympia.
Wow.
And I went to her and I told her I didn't want to do anything but weight training because I didn't want to do any cardio because I just didn't understand it. So I did that. I got hooked. I got hooked on weight training, went to her for just a little while, and then just continued. And at that time we were transitioning to New Jersey. So that's really my background. Then I started getting into cardio because I finally realized I needed to do that. And my husband taught spin classes. So I decided to go to spin classes, and I didn't like that either. So I would sit in the back of the class and pretend to spin. But obviously over time I began liking it, and he used to travel a lot and they needed somebody to take over his class. So I became a certified spin instructor before I became a personal trainer. And I did that for about 5 years and intertwined my personal training in there eventually. But pretty much that's my story. I didn't know what exercise was, nor did I care about it for a really long time.
That's amazing. We've got so much in common because I did not take up running until I was 42 years old. So that's just so cool.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I was about 42, 43 when I started.
Wow.
Wow.
In the water. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
That's so cool. So because I host a running channel, I just wanted to kind of throw this question in because, I know mainly you're, a personal trainer and you get into weights and cardiovascular kind of stuff. But I wanted to throw it in just, like I said, because this is a running channel.
Yeah.
Do you have experience with running yourself? Have you been an on and off again runner at all? Or?
Right. So that's the second part of my story. As I started getting more and more into personal training and spinning classes, I worked at a gym. And there was this wonderful woman there that her name was Dixie, and she started a walking club. It was called Girlfriends in Training, and they started doing walks and runs. So you could either run it or walk it. And she was trying to encourage people to do half marathons. And as someone that didn't do anything like that, I thought, okay, I'll do walking. So I did my first half marathon walking. And then as I became more confident, and because I was a personal trainer at that point, I became more confident in everything I was doing. I was like, I should run. I always had bad knees. Like my knees, I went to physical therapy well before I started all this because my knees would always hurt me. So I told Dixie, there is no way I can do running. She's like, well, yes, she can. And then we started doing more strength training for my legs. I was a personal trainer at that point, but I was learning. I was pretty new on. So anyways, I finally did my first half marathon. I would train with her. I became one of her trainers because I started really liking it. And that was probably around 45, I think. And I'll be almost 61 in March. So I started running around, I just became hooked, and I did not stop after that. I have been in over, I was gonna bring my medals. I've been over 55 Ks in the last 10 plus years. And I did 11 half marathons over a 5-year period, 3 in 1 year.
Wow. Wow. Now I don't want to get off on too much of
I
it.
know. I'm trying to keep some back.
It's some amazing numbers you've got there, but I don't want to get off on a tangent about running because I want to talk about things that are more central to you.
Sure.
What are your intentions like going forward running wise? Are you going after the marathon at any point, or are you just like where you are?
So I haven't done a marathon in probably, I want to say it's almost 6 or 7 years. And I'll tell you why later, but I want to get back into running. So I took kind of a break starting last March. And to tell you the truth, I don't know why. I don't know what happened, what made me stop. Maybe a little bit of that C word, but just things were going on and I just kind of pulled back and I started not running. And watching you, and every time I walk and I see people in my neighborhood running, it's like something pulls at me because I did it for a very long time. Like I said, it was probably almost 10 years of it. Yeah. Didn't stop, did as much. So I just started dabbling in it a little bit before we kind of reconnected. And like I said, you've been motivating me. So I've been just starting, and my goal, I don't know if I'll go back to half marathons. You never say never. Yeah. My goal was at one point to do a full marathon, but I had some problems with that. But I just want to get back into running and maybe even participating 5Ks again.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And just to kind of put this out there, so everybody, the world is witness now. Anything I can do to help you on that running journey, I am there for you. So just you say the word.
I appreciate that. And I more than likely will take you up on that.
That's awesome. I'm really looking forward to it, actually.
Yeah, I am too. I've never had somebody train me, actually, except Dixie a little bit, but mostly it was on my own reading, knowing being a personal trainer, you get a little bit into that. But yeah, never. My husband actually one year got me a certificate for a running coach, but I never took him up on it.
Gotcha. Cool. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Keep the questions coming here.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you consider the highlights of your athletic career? And I'm not talking about like, I won this or I got a PR. Just what are the things that bring you the most joy?
It was doing a triathlon, and I ended up doing 5 of them. And I am a person that has never liked swimming. I don't like the ocean. I don't like putting my face down. I know how to swim, but I've always had a fear of the ocean a little bit. So anyways, somewhere along the way, I decided, I was running, I was biking. Biking's another love of mine. And I thought, wow, why don't I try this? So I did an amateur one in the ocean with the worst waves ever. They had lifeguards. It was amateur, so they had lifeguards that would help you get in there. So they timed the waves for you. But literally did that. And I will, to this day, can't still believe I did it. So I ended up doing 5 over, I think, a 2 or 3 year period. But that's the highlight.
Wow. You go after everything. You're amazing.
I still can't believe I'm even talking about that because I still can't believe I did it. But yeah, so it was good. It was fun. Don't think I'd do it again, but it was certainly fun.
Okay. Now, so that leads me perfectly into my next question. I'm just kind of wondering, so you don't think you'd do triathlon again, but what do you consider your favorite fitness discipline at this point? And why do you consider it that way?
Oh, so I like biking a lot. And I think that's why I kind of got off running a little bit, because I started focusing more on my biking. And I did them both at the same time, but living in Florida, there's definitely an advantage to being able to bike outside. So I went more for the mileage on biking than I did for running. But if I had to tear it all down, it's still strength training. It's
Oh,
just
wow.
like my love. If I could actually be able to lift more. I used to lift a lot when I was starting out, not bodybuilding, but a little bit more of that. I probably would love that. But right now I'd say that's my ultimate love, but it's hard for me to choose really between them all.
Oh, wow. Okay. You know what?
Really is.
I'm going to be hitting you up in the very near future about what I need to change my routine. So that's awesome.
Great. Yeah, I think weight training gets a bad rap. Sometimes people concentrate on too much on one discipline and don't realize how much, and I didn't. So when I started running, I stopped lower body workouts for some reason. Again, was personal training at that time and should have known better, and my body suffered for it. And I realized the more I did weight training all over and concentrated on my knees and really trying to keep them in alignment, changed everything for me. I never had knee problems again. I wore tape the first 2 marathons because my knees were still bothering me.
Wow.
But then I started weight training more and really being disciplined about varying both of those things.
Gotcha. Yeah, I can attest to the truth of being strong over your whole body, and that being so important to remaining injury-free as a runner. So I'm so glad to hear you say that.
So true, Paul. It really is.
Cool. All right. So I want to pick your brain a little bit now about what was your motivation behind going from a person who loved all of these different disciplines to somebody who actually wanted to pursue becoming a personal trainer?
Oh, wow. The personal training part came from, I started going to a gym when we moved to New Jersey and really was into weightlifting. I mean, I was bench pressing. I still can't believe I did all that. Bench pressing, squatting, all that stuff. I had a bar. I would wear the thing that you would hold the bar on your shoulders, and people would come up to me and start asking me, "Are you a personal trainer?" And I was like, "No." So I was a mom, and my husband always said, to do something that you'd love to do as your kids get older. And the more people asked me and the more I got more interested in it, I was like, okay, why not? I knew I didn't want to go do something frivolous, I guess, in my life, that I wanted to do something that I love. That's what he always said, not frivolous. Nothing's ever frivolous, but he always said, do something that you love, because you don't need to, let's say, go do something else. So I said, oh, that makes sense. So I spent about 7 months studying for my personal training license. I had a bunch of good friends that were personal trainers that said, go do it right. So I went to ACE, which is one of the largest personal training organizations, and I got certified. I did fail my test on the first try, I'll be honest, and ended up passing it the second time. And one of my first clients was a woman that came up to me and said, I want you to personal train me, but you can't talk to me about food. I'll never forget that. And she's like, what she taught me that day was so important, because I took that on with me the rest of because people don't like to talk about food. So yeah, that's what really got it. It was people motivating me and recognizing what I was doing and the change I made in my body and my mind that helped me pursue the personal training and just fit at that point. So.
Gotcha. Okay. And it all makes perfect sense. It was just kind of a natural flow. So.
Yeah. Yep.
Very cool. Okay, so now I kind of want to get into a little bit of, you are very open about your entire journey as a person. So I kind of want to explore this a little bit with you.
Sure.
Because your positive outlook in the face of sort of adversity, I find incredibly inspiring. It's one of the main reasons I really, explored your channel and got to know you better as a person. Why I wanted to speak with you today.
Thank you.
I'm hoping that you can give us some insight into your current health challenges and how your attitude, your sheer positivity has helped you through all of this.
Sure. It's it cut me off if I talk too long about this, because I tend to talk a little bit long about it. So let me just start with, it'll be 3 years actually this July that I was diagnosed with a chronic cancer. So it's called, it's part of non-Hodgkin's lymphomas, which people tend to know that word. And that's the only word I knew also. But non-Hodgkin's lymphomas are made up of over 20 different kinds. So I have a rare one called Waldenstrom's macroglobulinemia. And basically lymphomas affect your blood. So it's a blood cancer and your lymphatic system. That's how it affects it. So let me give you a little backstory. This is where it gets a little funny. I hadn't been feeling well for probably about a year, but again, I didn't know what was wrong with me. And, I was over menopause age. I was having like drenching night sweats, menopause, stomach issues. I've always had stomach issues, things like that. It felt fatigued, but hey, I do too much. So things kept going a little bit weird for about a year. I had been diagnosed with a low white blood count a little bit about a year and a half before I was diagnosed, but I really they didn't think too much about it. Finally, I was sent to a hematologist who's an oncologist, and he just said, this is nothing. It's called a low B cell something. Don't worry about it. Go on your way. But he was smart. He did a CAT scan. My spleen was slightly enlarged. Well, what's important about this is I never stopped during that time. So I was still biking. I biked about 60 miles a week. I was running 3 or 4 times a week, at least 3 to 4 miles a day, when I ran, plus weight training, working, and not always feeling really well. So, just kind of escalated over a slow period of time. My stomach was starting to really bother me a lot, but, I saw a gastro person, all these things were leading up. And the reason why I'm telling this story a little bit this way is that I think a lot of us, when we tend to have something wrong with us, we kind of push it off and think it's something else, which, and it's okay, because sometimes it is, but I think I always, not that I wish I would have been a little bit proactive, because I did go to the doctor. I think the guessing game is nobody ever knows what's wrong with you until they delve a little bit deeper. And I had to push a little bit more. So anyways, after I saw that first oncologist, everything blew up in 4 months. Like my stomach I looked like I was 4 months pregnant, like literally all the time. And here I was like really thin, but I was like pregnant because I started to lose body fat and body weight. So anyways, basically what happened is my spleen grew to more than double in size. Your spleen is about 4 inches, and your spleen sits underneath your stomach. Mine was touching my hip bone.
Wow.
Now, the day before I was told all this, I had just finished running. When your spleen is that big, it can rupture and you can die. And I had been on my bike and I could have, so I went to see a surgeon who told me that he couldn't take it out and that I needed chemotherapy. That wasn't even in my head at that point. I was like, what do you mean? I have chemotherapy. So I left, and he got me to a different oncologist, and he thought I had one different cancer, and I had to go in for a bone marrow biopsy, which is basically I was sedated, thank goodness, but they put a needle around your hip bone area right in the middle of your back, and they take samples of your bone marrow. And that's the only way you can diagnose my particular cancer. So I had a bunch of blood work done, and it was all red in spots, but basically it was the bone marrow. And they diagnosed me with this. And he said to me, because you have a chronic cancer, we can't cure it. We can treat it, but it'll never go away. And you're kind of young, so you're probably going to be treating over the next lifetime. And, and don't bike and run for the next 3 months, because if you do, you'll die. And I go, well, am I going to die of the cancer? Because, well, there really is. So death with my cancer is not prevalent. People it's just chronic. So it's kind of like equivalent to somebody with diabetes. It sounds scary because it's cancer, and I don't want to display that it's not bad, because it can be, but it is just something that you manage, you treat for it, then you go, I call it vacation. So I'm kind of on a vacation right now. And then they watch you every 4 months, your blood work, and then you keep on going. So currently my situation is I'm a little stable. I'm starting to have a little uptick in my numbers. So we're just kind of watching it. The good news is that I know what to look for now. So keeps you on track. It's a little bit of a mind game sometimes, but I try to keep that just over here and know I just can go forward at this point. So
I got you. So, I'm glad it's something that can be managed and because I mean, you're such, it's not just your positivity that I love. It's the fact that you stay active. You have this attitude that you refuse to let that get in the way of life. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you seem to be a very, just incredibly positive, incredibly go get it if you want it type of person. And
Well,
do that
thank you.
in the face of what you're dealing with is just amazing. And I think it's a great
Thank you.
example for everybody watching this who have, including me at this point in my life. I'm lucky enough to be in decent
Right.
health.
Right.
And it's just such a nice sort of kick in the pants to, when you're sitting there just kind of being lazy and thinking, well, I don't really want to do that today. And it's kind of like, well, look
Right.
what Sharon is doing, and she's doing so much more. It's like, you're
Yeah.
great. And thank you.
Actually, let me just add to that a little bit is that when I was diagnosed, and they told me I couldn't do anything for a couple months, the first thing I said to him, but I said, when? Like, when is the time I can start again?
Yeah.
So it was like I could do light weightlifting, I could walk, but I couldn't do physical activities like biking or running.
Mhm.
And I needed a kind of a time frame from him. And my doctor is a runner, so he kind of empathized with me. But it was everybody that's ever said anything to me, it was always like, when can I go back to doing those things? And
Yeah.
it always amazes me because, again, I was not somebody that loved doing those things. And now you're about to take away something that I really loved. So it was within 3 months, I was back to running.
Amazing.
So yeah, and there's more to that, but I don't know if you want me to go into it because
Absolutely.
okay. So right after,
Knocking.
right while I was in this part, waiting to go back, I signed up for a 5K, which was my big thing to get back into running. So I signed up for a 5K in my neighborhood, and I ran my first 5K. That I was diagnosed in July, and I ran my first 5K in, actually, I think I ran it in October, and I did the best time I've ever done in my entire life of running, which was shocking because I hadn't really been running much up until then. And I was just like, let's just go for it and see what happens. And it was my best one ever. And I was like, wow, this is great. So it was very inspiring. And that was actually for a cancer, a hospice group here. So I ended up winning a little medal, and they brought me up, and I told them, I said, this is my first time back after having treatment. And I was still in treatment during that time too. So yeah, so that was pretty cool. And then I also did a bike ride. That was right in November, a 35-mile bike ride right after that. So as soon as he said I could go do something, I was right there. It's like, yes. Yeah, it was like if somebody just needed to tell me. I always tell my doctors, you have to tell me what I cannot do and be really specific, because I won't know, because I'll just want to do it.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, so
hats off to you for just the go-get-em, the go-get-em attitude. Just so inspiring.
I think it's important, I mean, especially when you're faced with something that sounds really scary. You can easily, Paul, you've been so complimentary. Believe me, I've been down and up a lot during those times. It was really hard. I remember I saw a picture that somebody showed me, and they asked you which picture represents you, and me, it was a boulder. There's a mountain, and it was a boulder pushing that boulder up. And somebody said, that was a weird one. I said, no, because I kind of feel like that's what I have to keep doing in order to reach the top of that mountain and keep on going down the other end. And I know there's going to be another boulder, but that was the only way I could get through it.
Yeah, good for you, because that's the journey of life, and some people, of course, have more challenges along.
Oh yeah.
But I don't want to repeat myself a million times, but you're such an inspiration.
Thank you. That makes me feel good. Thank you.
Well, I could say it another 1,000 times, but I think the point is made.
Yeah, I agree.
Let me ask you this. Once you were a personal trainer, once you started this journey of having to deal with your cancer and staying positive through it all, where did the idea of starting a YouTube channel come from?
Wow. I hate to use that word, but COVID, it really was, so going back to cancer, the particular cancer I have doesn't go well with COVID. So it's being a blood cancer, it like I said, goes back to your lymphomas, your lymphatic system in your body, and that's what COVID attacks. Yeah. So I could no longer I used to train clients in the gym that I work. We have a community here with the gym, and I was training probably about 20 hours a week. And they, everything shut down. And so my friend who lives across the street from me, we've been friends for 30 years, he retired and loves photography. And he was like, hey, maybe we should start a website and do videos. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And then we eventually ended up into YouTube, but it really was because I couldn't train anybody in person. So we thought, well, maybe I'll do videos and that will help my clients and just see what happens. And then we ended up on YouTube and started there. So yeah, so that's kind of how it all rolled into one. And I still personally can't go back to a gym for probably, I don't know, it will depend on what happens with COVID, because so a little background to my cancer too. I was on a drug at about the time that the vaccines came out, and the particular drug that I was on, it's called an immunotherapy drug, which is similar to what COVID is, a therapy drug or vaccine. And mine interfered with the vaccine. So I had to go off of my drug for 3 months and then get the vaccine.
Gotcha.
And because of that particular drug, I did not, after my first 2 vaccines, I did not have any antibodies. So even though I was vaccinated, I still had to act like I was unvaccinated, which was very confusing for a while. So finally, the boosters were available for immunocompromised people. So I got that, and I finally had a response. It's not huge, but enough, but it will wear off. So I have to go for a 4th booster probably in March or April. So because of that situation, it will always make it difficult for me to probably go back to a gym until this is hopefully over one day. But I love YouTube. It's been a fun experience, and obviously I've wealth of information out there between, you know, people like you and other avenues. So I love what I'm doing on YouTube, but I also love YouTube in the sense that I can get a lot of information out of it too.
Yeah, I mean, well, you're a wonderful addition to the community.
Thank you.
Just,
thank you.
You know, what was it? It wasn't even 24 hours ago that I sent you a message saying, you just changed the way I work out with my weights because you kind of like improved the way I was doing things. So
oh, good. Oh, I'm glad.
You know, hats off to you for being a wonderful instructor. I mean, everybody, you know, I like to take moments during these subscriber spotlights to tell people who are watching, pause this video right now, open up a new tab, go over to Sharon's channel and get yourself subscribed, because, you know, if you like what I do at all, you're going to love what Sharon does, because she's thorough, she's upbeat, she's freaking awesome. So,
oh, thank you. You know, I take pride in my, oh, thank you. I'm sorry. Okay. I take pride in that as a personal trainer. I mean, there's so many videos out there. I mean, you can, you know, and everybody's got a, you know, great angles or great ways to teach everybody. And my channel, I really wanted to be that if you were my client, you would be standing there with me. And I want to make sure that you're training properly, because you can watch videos and not, let's say, get verbal instruction and not necessarily know what you're doing. And I think that's an important part of working at, just like you wouldn't want somebody just going out and running and just, you know, go run a half marathon today, you know, without training. And I feel the same way with workout videos. I mean, you know, I think we're in that quest for feeling healthier and, you know, going out there. And I don't want to ever discourage somebody not to do that. But I do think having that personal training kind of aspect to it can just help you get a little bit more out of your workout.
Yeah, well, you're doing it really, really, really well.
Thank you. Thank you.
I
Trying.
mean, you know, I wouldn't say it if it wasn't true. I wouldn't have asked you on the channel if I didn't think you were.
I appreciate that.
So,
thank you.
Let me ask you, what motivates you now? What your future goals are? Just try to cover all of that.
Oh gosh, what's motivating me now? Stay healthy. That's probably the #1 thing. It's been a little challenging for me in this world we're living in. So I'm trying to keep a positive attitude with that, and just, you know, I live in Florida. My children do not live in Florida, and they live in cold weather. And I always say I can at least go outside and get outside and do things. So that motivates me for a positive attitude. I just, like I said, probably right now, the main thing is getting back into running. Seriously, it's been like something that's been in the back of my mind, and disappointed me for a while that I didn't do it. I don't know what, like, again, I don't know what it was, but that's probably my main goal right now. And then, you know, really concentrating on trying to build my YouTube channel, make it something a little bit more special, different, whatever I can do. So, and yeah, that's pretty much it. And I do a lot of work with my cancer support group, and they have a national organization. So I try to stay active in that. And it's a passion, because without a cure, you know, it's not, you just kind of have to deal with it. And I'd rather see them come up with a cure one day.
Of course, of course, of
yeah.
course.
Yeah.
Everybody's hoping for that.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, on just as a lighter note here. what can you share that your viewers, the people who already know you, might not already know about you? What's something out of left field?
Well, I worked for 10 years as an insurance adjuster. I was a psychology degree, and I went to insurance. Well, I worked other jobs, but I ended up in insurance, and I was called a litigation examiner for an insurance company. And I handled like claims, like casualty claims, like car accidents and property damage and things like that. But I ended up getting into D&O insurance, which is directors and officers type claims, which was for nonprofits. So the best information would be like if you lived in an association and people were making claims because you painted your house the wrong color and violations, I would be the insurance company that handled the claims on behalf of the board of directors that were being sued or making claims against. And I did that for about 10 years. I was one of the first people in the field, so it was kind of cool. So I loved it. I always wanted to go back to that. So that's when you asked me about personal training. I was kind of like, well, that I really wanted to go through. And my husband's in insurance too. And he's like, do you really want to go back and do that? And I said, yeah, I really do. But it wasn't a thing to do with my children at that point. So yeah. So, but yeah, I don't think I've ever talked about that actually, even on my channel.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So a
Yeah.
nice little nugget there for this interview.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. It really didn't.
Okay, so now I'm going to ask you sort of a philosophical question. You can take it
Okay.
as big or as little as you want to.
Okay.
How has the pursuit of fitness changed your life for the better?
Oh, gosh, that's like a loaded question in so many ways. I think when I started it, I mentioned my kids were young, and then I realized that what a better way to bring them up with fitness, because I didn't grow up that way, and eating healthier and things like that. So just, oh my gosh, it changed everything. I don't even know what my life would have been if I didn't do that, because I think it's helped me in terms of my health, and then dealing with cancer, realizing how important that was. I had people come up to me going, wow, you got cancer? How did you do that? You're so healthy. And I just said, it's bad luck. But I think being athletic, being healthy, watching what I ate, helped me get through it a lot better than maybe some other people. So I will never, just because I was healthy and everything doesn't mean that something might happen to you. I just think it helps you get through it more mentally. That mental thing when you go in for your treatment, sitting there in that chair, I sat there and looked at my YouTube channels, or made up my workouts, or figured out what I was going to be doing during the week, or when I could get back into running. So I think all of that, I am so inspired by it that I just want to tell everybody they should do that. I always say, I wish I would have,
Yeah.
and I hope that I inspired my children a little bit into that. Not so much, but a little bit. But, just every time I meet somebody, I would always tell them my story, because I don't think people realize how much that changes their life as they go forward. And being almost 61, I'd never been in better shape than I was. And, I probably look the same. If you looked at pictures when I was younger, I probably look the same, but I think I look more healthier than I did then. So yeah, fitness is everything. And I wish I could convince more people to do it.
Well, I think you're starting to do a wonderful job through YouTube, and
Thank you.
just please just keep going. Just keep going.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. It's a tough world out there, but yeah, it is. It's a passion, and that's just made an extension of what I've done, whether it was personal training, now I've got this other avenue to do. And, it's important. And I hope everybody realizes that I heard this quote a really long time ago. It was a commencement speaker. He was a comedian. Don't remember Tim something. And he said, you only have one body. He's telling the graduates, you only have one body, so take care of it. And that's so true. I mean, if we don't, it's that what if I would have done that, or what, and I think that's the key. You have to respect your body, whether you're a runner or whether you're just walking or whatever it is, respect your body and take care of it.
That's amazing. And you kind of jumped into the
Sorry.
next question with that one, but I'm going to ask this question anyway, because you may have more wisdom to share.
Okay.
Please share what you consider a favorite piece of advice for athletes.
So I have always said this, and this is from day one, was small steps. So I just, I want to start exercising. Okay, but let's break it down. Like, let's do maybe 5 minutes. If you've never exercised, I always tell people 5 minutes, just 5 minutes, go walk, 5 minutes, grab water bottles, or 5 minutes and do rows without it, which I'm very big about on my channel. You don't need equipment to work out. It's great if you do. I mean, it helps you a little bit, but you don't. So it's little increments. When I started running, and when I've also talked to other people about running, it was driveway to driveway. I just want you to walk for about 10 minutes and then run a driveway from driveway. I don't know how far the driveway is, but whatever, or mailbox to mailbox, and then stop. And you're done for the day. And do that for the next 3 weeks. And then when you think that's so like nothing, then progress on. And same with weight training, running, anything you do. So that's been my biggest advice to anybody, is just don't take those small goals, really, really small goals. You can build on them. That taking running, you don't want to go out and run 3 miles if you've never run before, so I think it's, those small steps. I'm just getting back into running, and I did not run 3 miles. I ran a half a mile. Yeah. And then I ran, did that for a couple of weeks. I walked first, and I'm just up to 2 miles. So I'm trying to get to that 3rd mile, but I know I can do it. I know I can do the 3 miles, but I don't want to do it because I know what it would do to my feet. I know what it would do to my knees. I know it'll do to my hips. So yeah, so that's, small steps. I want you to have those goals. So have that goal, but how do you break down those goals is the key.
Exactly. Just being consistent and incremental that's the key. Right. So, wonderful advice. Sharon, I want to thank you so much for doing this, for participating in this interview. I really enjoyed it. You truly inspired me. Like, I'm not just talking, I'm just, thank you.
Oh gosh, thank you. You're gonna make me cry.
I'm not trying to, my goal here, but, it means a lot to me because, I think you're wonderful, and I'm just happy that you're out there doing what you do.
Thank you.
And I just want to give you an opportunity to share with everybody who's watching. Where can they find you on social media?
Oh, okay. Besides YouTube, obviously, I am on Facebook, Find Fitness with Sharon, and I am on Instagram, also Find Fitness with Sharon. And I have a website. It's called so I'm Find Fitness with Sharon on everything, but my website is Fitness with Sharon because somebody else had already taken it when we came on. And on that page on my website, and I'll just throw this out there, I have a free 30-day fitness plan. It is free. I used to try to sell it, but I just wanted it to be free. I really didn't come on this to make money, but and I just wanted to promote it because I think it's a great kind of a segment, what you just said before. It's a great way to learn how to exercise, or whether if you've been exercising, a great way to relearn something. So I start off really slowly with weight training and also cardio. And then over the 4 weeks, my videos are about probably 45 minutes long and teach you how to increase your heart rate through using, perceived exertion, things like that. I also have healthy recipes and ways to eat healthier, and recipes that you can cook. So if you want to take a look at that at Fitness with Sharon, that's great. If not, it's, again, I wrote a book on how to motivate people too. So an ebook. So that's where you can find me. But again, that's my passion, I guess, continuing.
It comes across, and you're just very good at what you do. So thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Sharon, I hope, I know we both have places to be right after this.
Oh,
I hope you get the opportunity to enjoy the rest of your weekend. Don't stay too busy. And, we'll be in touch. I mean, I want to talk to you any chance I get to talk to you. I always enjoy it. So thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Again, you have inspired me, and we are definitely going to talk because I think I need a little bit more guidance. But no, I really appreciate this, and hopefully we can reciprocate and come on my channel because I'd like to get more people into running. I think it's a great way to get your cardio in. So thank you so much. Oh my gosh, thank you. I appreciate it a lot.
Very cool. Yeah. I think I've said it all, a lot. So I truly appreciate you. So thank you. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk again soon.
Great. Thanks.
Bye-bye.